Som-lok, last quarter when we spoke, investors, well, expectations for credit defaults had spiked higher. But this quarter, even more respondents see them going higher. So what's behind their outlook, and does this concern you?
Well, it is kind of interesting because certainly credit spreads, especially as measured by the CDX Index, have been as tight as they've ever been since we started doing the survey. We started this in 2007, and they've been in the tightest band that they've ever been in. So it's actually quite hard to see that things are going to get much better. And I think that seems to be the overall consensus. You know, there are some people who think they're going to get a little bit tighter, but the consensus seems to be that things are going to be unchanged. They're about as good as they're going to get. And I think that's probably reflected somewhat in the view of the economy, both in the States and in Europe. You know, things have steadily been improving in the U.S. And because the pace of improvement has been a bit slower than in most recoveries, I think there is some sentiment that maybe that means a more prolonged recovery. So I think that there's not a lot of good argument that can be made that things are going to continue to get substantially better, but not yet, in the near term at least, that things are going to get significantly worse. So we're kind of balanced on this fine edge.
I want to get to Europe in a second, but first, in looking at least the default outlook, it seems worse in the retail and the consumer mortgage sector based on your survey.
Right.
And what's behind that? Is it that investors are worried that perhaps we're seeing a bubble in the mortgage sector, that things have gotten too far ahead of themselves?
There is that worry. I mean, and then that's the difference between the long-term view and the near-term view. You know, when I was talking before, I was really focusing on the near term, the next quarter. We also ask about the next year, and I think there is some greater concern and trepidation about that. You know, asset prices have gotten to a level that look unsustainable in the long term. You know, the IMF, the Bank for International Settlements, both issued warnings that they thought global asset prices looked pretty stretched. And even Janet Yellen, even though she tried to strike a more balanced tone, used the term stretched valuations in her testimony last week. So looking at asset prices, they do look a little bit scary.